Books and Music, Nurturing the Child's Brain. I'm Mitzi Payne, a pediatric neurologist at Marshall University. So a child's brain development is definitely a work in progress. It begins during pregnancy and really continues into the early 20s. Reading to your child is very important for several reasons. First of all, it gives you a time to bond with your child and some individual time with your child, reading a book, looking at pictures. The child has time to ask questions and interact with you as well. It also improves socialization. It works on social skills of sitting quietly and listening and knowing when to respond. If there's a group of children, they're going to learn how to take turns asking questions. And it also helps interactions with reading and looking at the story and the pictures, and then thinking about what the story means, and then perhaps asking questions or talking about the story afterwards, similar to a conversation, for example. It also increases vocabulary. Books are going to have words in them that we may not always have in our daily language. So this will expose children to more words that they may not otherwise hear. And it also promotes a love of reading. We're not wanting to have a 4-year-old be able to read Shakespeare. We're just wanting our children to love to read and to not be scared of books, and to know that books are sources of information and reading is sources of information. Even if a child, say an older child, is not intending to go to postgraduate studies like college and wants to do a trade school, there's going to be things that that child's going to have to read in trade school, manuals, directions, etc. So reading is a necessary part of life in every aspect.
Okay. Maisie's amazing big book of worms.
Yay!
Words.
You said worms.
I did. Getting dressed.
Let's open up this closet. Oh, there's a bear. Whoa. And a clothes.
Yeah. In Maisie's house, we have the lights, the television,
The window.
the
The table, the fireplace,
The
couch.
sofa.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So busy.
We should get this in Spanish.
No.
Best friends.
Oh,
Charlie, Tallulah, Robin,
Look.
Ostrich,
Oh my God.
Black Cat, Panda, Carl.
There is something called a language disparity, where we find that children raised in different homes are sometimes at a disadvantage. So, for example, having at least 10 children's books in the house improves a child's performance in school. We've also found that children in low-income homes by the age of 3 have 30 million fewer words than their counterparts in higher income homes. Also, when entering kindergarten, these children from low-income homes tend to be 2 years behind their peers. So what can we do to narrow this gap? What can we do as parents to give our children maximum help that they need, maximum development? We can read books to them. Having just 10 books in the home is already going to put them at an advantage and put them more where they need to be, also on an age-appropriate level when they begin school. Reading to children seeing parents read is also important. So we can narrow the gap. It's not a monetary way, it's reading. So human brains are wired to speak and to communicate and to talk. However, we must learn how to read. We are not wired to read automatically. This is a skill that we have to learn. This skill makes us different than other animals. Animals can talk, animals can make sounds and communicate in certain ways, but they can't read. So similar to humans, we're able to talk in any language, we're able to communicate. That's how our brains are wired. That helps us survive in the world. But we are not naturally born knowing how to read. So this is definitely a skill that we need to learn. There's also a window of opportunity where we can learn better. A younger child can learn better how to read than, say, an adult who's just now starting to read. So we like to take advantage of this opportunity when it's a simpler, easier time for this brain to take in reading. Now, there is no one part of the brain that is used in reading. It actually incorporates several parts of the brain.
Just like reading, music involves the entire brain as well. For example, the back of the brain, remember, is our visual cortex, so where we see things. So this could be involved in reading sheet music or reading notes. Our auditory part of the brain is in the temporal lobe, and that's the part that when we hear things, we have to process it and know what we're hearing. The prefrontal cortex here helps us pre-plan and anticipate parts of the music, or if we're playing music, we use that part of the brain to play. Also, playing music like this, I'll be using my motor cortex as well, which is the part of the brain that controls my movements. Also with music, emotions and memory is involved. So that's going to be more involved with the hippocampus down here, also part of the temporal lobe. Memory, emotions, and that's the power of music as well, that we all understand and feel.
Music to the brain. Classical music is soothing and can calm babies during sleep. Also for adults, music can be calming and can lower heart rate and blood pressure and help stress and anxiety. So listening to music as an infant also encourages brain connections that are related to speech and storytelling. So even before a child would be speaking or listening to stories or telling stories, listening to music can set those pathways in motion. Also, children who play music are using both hemispheres and learning hand coordination. There's also a window of opportunity in childhood to learn music and to learn how to play an instrument. Their children do better learning earlier on than, say, an adult learning a new instrument as an older person. So childhood is definitely a window of opportunity to learn how to play, as it becomes more difficult with age to learn how to play an instrument. Similar to reading, music does not involve just one part of the brain. There are several parts of the brain that music involves,